Washington. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am the GA for Violence Prevention at the Office of Multicultural Affairs, also known as OMA. This program will have activities throughout. If you are able, I will ask you to pause the video to complete the activities. If you are not able, we have these activities available for you in which we can send to you via email. So welcome to Radical Self-Love, the roadmap to exploring you, boo. Today we're going to discuss the roadblocks and obstacles to self-love, the 7 segments of self-love, cultural and self-exploration, finding blind spots of self-love, and preparing for your journey. I want you to imagine you are in your car or someone else's car on your way to a destination, any destination of your choosing. You put on your seatbelt, turn on the car, turn on your favorite feel-good music. For me, it's Beyonce any and every day. For others, it might be Jasmin Sullivan Host Tales. No judgment if that's you. We put the car in drive and we head on our journey. We are confident that we're going to make it to our destination on time because Siri girl told us we are going to get there on time. Everything is going smoothly up until we reach a roadblock. Oh, no. Not just any roadblock. It's a roadblock that makes us have to shift some things around in our journey. You can choose to wait for the roadblock to be cleared with time, really stepping into the unknown of how long it's going to take. You can take a different route, perhaps, or you can choose to go back home and never reach your destination. I want you to think of roadblocks as obstacles and tribulations to self-love, and the road as your journey to self-love, the car as yourself, and the destination as radical self-love. When you joined or decided to watch this presentation, you probably thought that I would be discussing self-esteem and self-confidence. However, I believe that feeling better about yourself does not change the systematic and structural issues of inequality and inequity, injustices that exist in this world. Many of these contribute to the roadblocks in our lives. I am a strong believer in the notion that even though someone has amazing self-esteem, self-confidence, and even self-love, I think these roadblocks have a way of interfering with the ability to love ourselves in all of its complexities. So my girl Sonia Renee, who actually coined the term radical self-love in her book, My Body Is Not an Apology, stated, radical self-love is political. That statement alone is very controversial. I want you to pause the video and think about how radical self-love can be political for some people. What are some structural and systematic issues that may impact someone's radical self-love? Radical self-love is not a conditional experience like self-esteem or maybe confidence, but it is the acceptance of your inherited existence, how you may show up on this planet, how you arrive on this planet, how you shift around generational curses. In the midst of all of that, systems still have the power to contribute to the ways we view ourselves. And let's be real for a moment. Have you ever been chilling, watching TV, drinking your water, minding your business, and you notice on the screen a commercial that tells you that your body, your experience, your identity is in need of critical fixing? Am I the only one? Let's be transparent for a moment. I think we all have had experiences that have shifted our perceptions of ourselves, and we take what someone else said about us, or the media, or the observations in which we see in the world, and take the falsehood of those images and statements as our truth. Maybe it's the lack of representation in a movie or TV show that tells you that you are not good enough because you can't begin to believe what you can't see. Maybe it's the weight loss commercial that made you believe you are in need of a diet, or it was the ex-president that told you that your identity is not welcomed here. In these instances, radical self-love becomes very political. And it was very political for me. The interesting thing about roadblocks is someone else placed them there. They are completely out of your control. What you are in control of is how they affect who you are. These roadblocks can show up as abuse, assault, racism, bias, homophobia, transphobia, power and control, media portrayals, mental illness, fear, unhealthy relationships, and so much more. Recognizing what exactly is holding you back from loving yourself and living a happier and healthier life is a crucial component as you prepare to tackle these challenges on your path to self-love. So our unique combination of attributes such as history, intentions, belief, personality, values, and goals may coalesce us to the self-love process. This is a great segue into finding your roadblocks. I want you to go ahead and pause the video and write down your roadblocks of self-love. What do you think is interfering with your ability to love yourself? As you reflect on your roadblocks, I want to briefly discuss the 7 segments of self-love because they are important when discussing radical self-love, because most of the time when people think of radical self-love, they are only thinking of one or a few of these segments. But in order to reach radical self-love, one must feel comfortable with all 7 categories. So these 7 categories are self-awareness, self-exploration, self-care, self-esteem, self-respect, self-kindness, and self-growth. So go ahead and pause the video to write down areas of improvement in each of the 7 segments of self-love. Next, reflect on ways that is feasible for you right now to achieve the 7 segments of self-love in your life, keeping in mind the roadblocks. As we move forward with the next activity, I want you to keep in mind the roadblocks you wrote down. Connecting to self-love allows you to consider what contributes to self-love, what inhibits your self-love, and what you require in your self-love journey. One way to strengthen your self-knowledge is to reflect on the depth of your culture. Oftentimes, we may limit our view of culture by a common variable such as race or gender. Your culture and all of its intersectional ties include customs, values, beliefs, and traditions that help you better understand ourselves and how they interact or impact our self-love. So take a moment and reflect on your identity for each segment. Segments are age, generation, disability status, religion, spiritual orientation, socioeconomic status, sexual orientation, indigenous heritage, national origin, and gender. If you do not see your identity domain here, go ahead and add those to the list. Activity 3 is called cultural exploration. I'm going to ask you to create 5 boxes that are long enough for some reflection. I want you to think about all of your beautiful identities and choose one identity. Write that identity in your first box. For your second box, I want you to reflect on what the identity means to you and how it affects who you are. For the third box, I want you to write all of the aspects of this identity that may help your ability to provide yourself with love. For the fourth box, I want you to write all of the aspects of your identity that may inhibit your ability to provide yourself with love. For the last box, which is the 5th box, I want you to reflect on what type of self-love activity, behavior, or one of the 7 segments of self-love is required for you to reach radical self-love. After you have completed your first identity, I want you to continue exploring your different cultural identities and reflect on all of them. Now that you have done some cultural exploration, we are going to do some self-exploration. When I do self-exploration, I try to think about it as dating myself. If you have already watched the 5 love languages video on Oma's Instagram or YouTube, you know very well what the self-love date activity is. However, we are going to do something a little bit different. This is called the independent interview. I want you to write down 6 tough questions you would ask a partner or a spouse, a friend, or someone you're getting to know better. After you do that, I want you to ask yourself these questions. This activity is tough because sometimes we forget that we must also take time to learn who we truly are. Have you ever met someone who asked a very simple question to like, what's your favorite color? And then they're like, I don't know. Well, this goes to show you that they are in desperate need of self-exploration. You do not know what you like or dislike or your pleasures. You cannot expect others to magically know the answers to you if you don't know you. Self-exploration is a continuous process in which the effort to better understand your true self is persistent and consistent. So our self-awareness may be triggered by conversations or current events, but in order to fully understand who we are, the answers must come from you.
The last thing we are going to touch on is blind spots. When we are on our journey, we might not just encounter a roadblock, but a blind spot. Regardless of your effort and intention along this path, it is normal to have these blind spots. And this is where a support system comes in. Our knowledge of ourselves and how others view us can be distorted and difficult to see sometimes. The blind spot includes aspects of yourself that others may see while your own perspective could be lacking. For example, you may think that you are cooperative and open-minded. However, a brainstorming session with your colleagues may cause you to realize that your efforts in collaboration may be interpreted in another. At these sessions, you may sit back and listen to be polite and receptive, whereas your peers may value hearing your opinions and unique perspectives. You will be unable to know that this is a blind spot until you receive critical feedback. Feedback from a trusted source such as a good friend or positive mentor can help you to see what may exist in your blind spot. Genuine feedback is constructive, caring, and propelled by the opportunity for growth. Can you think of a time when someone may have tried to provide you with feedback to shed light on your blind spot? Were you able to receive it? If the answer is no, was it a roadblock interfering with your ability to receive feedback? I want you to take all the activities we did and think critically and reflect on your answers. I want you to remember as you prepare for your journey to radical self-love that roadblocks may not be your fault, but you are responsible for getting to your destination. The 7 segments are important to fully reaching radical self-love, and self-love cannot be achieved if even one segment is missing. Self and cultural exploration helps us better understand ourselves and how to not let roadblocks knock us off our journey. And feedback from trusted people in our lives can help us see past the blind spots that may be holding us back.